Hello, I'm Craig Everett, the Chief Product Officer for QuidProQuo AG. In this little demonstration, I'd like to show how the Gajumaru blockchain is used to perform as the payment system and the sort of the deal enforcer, a kind of the very simple form of escrow through smart contracts as the payment backend for the QuidProQuo marketplace. So what we have here is QuidProQuo marketplace is open. On this screen, I'm logged in as a guy named Bob. This is Bob's key here. We will log in as a person named Alice over here. So let's log in as Alice now. To log in, the logins occur through the wallet out of context, outside of the browser. So this is not a browser plugin wallet. This is a separate wallet that could be running on a totally different device. What we need is that URL, and we'll be able to log in. I made a different video on that. First-party single sign-on is this thing that we can do now, and it's a great capability. So anyway, Alice is logged in. So typical sales site. Alice wants to sell some things. Bob wants to sell some things, right? So Alice is selling this thing, a Fitbit watch. Okay, so maybe Bob wants to buy that. So he clicks this, he reads the thing. Oh, I love this. This looks great. So I'm going to buy it. Well, buying it, this is a blockchain involved operation. So Bob needs to, it'll actually pick the right key automatically. But I'll just select it for fun. Okay, so transaction request comes in. It's requesting to this account specifically, Bob's account, because Bob is the one logged in. This signature was crafted for him specifically. So we approve that, send it off. What happens? The sale item was in open state before. Now it's in negotiated state. So if we look at this screen now, it's gone. Alice, inside of her open sale offers, or her sales, this thing is no longer open. It's now engaged. And so we've got 3 stages. So there's 3 stages to a thing being opened, and there's 3 stages to the thing being engaged. So this is a sale and negotiation. There's agreed sales, and then there's outgoing items. So an item basically moves through these 3 stages until it becomes an archive record of there was a sale. At which point all the conversation history and the images and all that stuff are just, they go away. So you'll see that in a second. So this is Alice's screen. This is Bob's screen. You notice Alice has sale administration authority because it's her sale. Bob doesn't have that. If we go down here to the bottom on both of these, this page that was the sale page that was public before with the buy button on it has now become a communication channel between the two. And so, Bob is, I live in the Bahamas. How much will shipping cost? Well, okay. We can send that message to Alice and she can see it over here. Now, nobody else on the site can see this conversation. At the moment, this sale item is private to these two. Now, maybe Bob wants to make sure that Alice doesn't take the money right away. Because maybe he would need to give her more money to pay for shipping or something. Just in case, he can place this on hold. And the smart contract will prevent her from being able to take money out of the contract or accept the sale until that hold is cleared. And so at this point, the accept button just disappeared, right? So Alice can't accept this until the hold is cleared. So how much shipping cost? It'll be 30 gajus. I'll update the price. So to make sure that between these two, they understand what the deal actually is, they have to just communicate directly. Now she'll adjust the price Let's add 30 to that. And once again, this is a blockchain involved operation. So it has to go through the blockchain. Okay, so the price was adjusted. There's an unfunded amount now that Bob now sees. Now he has to update his bid. And again, this is a blockchain involved operation. So the price is now 209. It was 179. Unfunded amount is 30. Now they've already discussed that. They're both aware of it. Bob agrees to this, or not. He could refuse, and get his money back out of the contract. And I say money back out of the contract. An important detail to understand here is that when Bob did this bid, money actually left his account and went into the contract, and the contract is holding that money in escrow. What this does is it prevents Bob from being able to spam click buy on a bunch of items and delete, essentially block them from public view. So you can't like DDoS somebody. It costs money. You have to have the gajus to be able to buy stuff. And that prevents somebody from just running through the site and like making a bunch of items disappear from public view. That would be horrible, right? So the money does go into the contract, but it's safe. The contract logic is what governs where those funds go. So if this is canceled, if either party decides to cancel this, those funds go straight back to Bob. That's how the cancellation works. It just goes back to the guy that, that put the money in there. The update just adds more funds to that. So in the contract right now is 209.95. That it's already there. So, and Alice can see that, and the accept bid button just came back. So let's say Alice accepts this. She's like, thanks. Except maybe she spells thanks correctly. Imagine that. So accept bid. Okay, so this has been accepted, which means Alice just got paid. So now she's got the funds to pay for the shipping and all that. And we're looking to do an integration after we go public with this. We're looking to do an integration with shippers so that you would have have a third party be able to verify shipping, and at that point release funds from escrow. Maybe have the shipping amount be deducted from the held funds in the contract at first, something like that. But basically integrate with the shipper and have the shipper be able to, when they deliver the item at your door, at that moment, be able to verify, yes, we're the shipper, we're verifying that this was delivered. And at that point, the contract pays out to Alice, right? That's a feature that will be coming, but we've got some business issues to cover before we're that far along. So this is the simple kind of early version of how things work. So, okay, you're shipped, tracking. Now, of course, Bob would say where he like put his address in here, shipped to this address or whatever. Tracking number 123. Okay, so the item is shipped. Now, that puts the item in a special mode. Remember, we in Alice's sales over here, we had sales and negotiation agreed and outgoing. Bob's got a similar thing on his purchase. There's buys and negotiation, agreed purchases, and incoming items. So Bob sees that the thing's coming. One of these days, it gets to his door, and he receives it, and he's like, man, this is a great watch. Thanks, Alice. And that's it. He's reviewed this. It's been done. So this is now this is part of Bob's purchase history. So everyone's got a purchase history and a sale history. And that's, Alice has now got a sale archive. She's sold 4 things. And Bob has bought, 3 things in his history. So that's how this works. Now the score, this is the sum total of data that remains of this sale. So that conversation between Bob and Alice, whatever private information passed between them about shipping details, Bob's address, like that's something you don't want just leaking out. That data is all gone now. So we from the site manager's perspective, the site operator doesn't have to worry about that stuff leaking after the sale's complete because the data is just gone. We just kill that conversation. It's out. What remains is a few key events. When, when was this sale approved? What was the contract? So you could go on on a blockchain explorer, find this contract and find all the transactions that passed through that contract to learn its history. Who bid on what, or at least what keys, what public keys. How that maps to people is its own problem. But what public keys made what calls to that contract. You can read the contract source. The contract source is actually on the chain too. So you can read the contract source and see what happened when, and what was the history of this sale item. Here, what we know is the specific, not the total contract history, but the history of the actual successful purchase of this item from Alice to Bob. So when did Bob bid on it? When was it actually sold? Like when did Alice accept it? When was it shipped? And when was it completed? And what was the outcome? Was it returned? Was it received? Was it destroyed? Never received, or, lost in transit or whatever. There's like 4 outcome states. And that, that's it. That's how this works. So, that is in short, that's basically the whole point of this site, is to be able, let people post a thing that they want to sell, have somebody else find it and want to buy it, and do the entire transaction through the blockchain, without having to, without taking a giant haircut in terms of transaction fees. This site, like, why would I want to do transactions in crypto for sale items? Well, one of the huge benefits of this is that, one, it's super fast. This stuff actually transacted through the blockchain, and all of it was nearly instant because this blockchain's the Gajimon is super low latency. So it's good enough to be used for retail. It's faster than Visa. It's way faster than, the PayPal stuff. And if you look at the overhead, the compliance overhead that PayPal has actually kind of created for itself, because they were instrumental in writing the regulation. Visa, same way. They have such a huge regulatory burden and operations burden and fraud burden to deal with, because they're not just dealing first party to first party, that the site operators themselves, and the payment providers all have to take a giant margin. This site, the total overhead for running a sale, if you're a seller, so Alice, for example, Alice just ran this sale through the QuidProQuo system, and QuidProQuo only took 2% of that sale. And QuidProQuo will still make a great profit off of this because the site operation costs are very low. It's a very lightweight site. The compliance burdens, none of them apply because we don't even have to maintain private data from people. All we have to do is perform the moderation function. Keep the server turned on and perform the moderation function. So there's an approval path that sale items have to go through to make sure that there's not like crazy stuff or like contraband or nasty things being sold. So to make a sale item public, I did how to create an item and how the review process kind of works in a separate demo. But basically, it's the moderation function of the site is the majority of the overhead involved with operating it. So QuidProQuo can turn a great profit at 2% transaction volume instead of at this point, there's outright coercive model that Amazon has set up for itself. eBay takes a huge cut. So if you're selling on eBay or Amazon, and you're using PayPal or Visa or one of the bank transfer systems, those systems will take anywhere from 13 to 60% by sale volume overhead from the seller. So that's absolutely crazy. If you sold an item for cash in a shop, now remember, you do have overhead in the shop because it's physical plant. You have to pay for rent and utilities and the workers and stuff there. So that's your overhead there. But if you just sold person to person, you could sell 2 of those items for the price of one. If you didn't have that 60% overhead, vendors are just getting crushed. And these marketplaces, they have, it's like, where's the eBay space program? I guess there is actually an Amazon space program. They just haven't been very successful, but it's just outrageous how how much the overheads they've just accelerated. Visa used to be charging 2% and turning a handsome profit. Now it's like 7 for a lot of categories of transaction. So, we're looking at this as a way to lubricate small and medium business again, get person to person trade flowing in a way that's not crazy, not overweight, not too heavy for people to deal with, and kind of make buying and selling on the internet fun again, with of course a moderation function, because the internet can be a pretty outrageous place. So anyway, that is this is like Quid Pro Quo version 0.1. It's at an MVP stage. It's great that this even works at all. But the Gajimaro blockchain is the real magic that allows this to even happen. For years, people have thought, I mean, if you hear crypto is the new money, great, crypto, and crypto this, crypto that, and then there's no marketplace. That's the craziest thing. So, Quid Pro Quo has kind of grown out of a journey to make these obvious things that should exist somewhere finally exist. And the big missing piece was actually a blockchain that worked well enough. And now the Gajimaro exists, so thank goodness. So now we can do this. Anyway, thanks for watching. I will be continuing on with some other demos later.